Hey everybody, welcome to Example of Play. This video is part 2 in my series on the new campaign, The Hornet's Nest, for Shock Force 2. And this scenario is exit stage left. So if you watched the last one, you'll know we had just raided a weapons cache here, trying to take out some man pads. A couple of them slipped away, but we completed the objective for the most part with no casualties, just a couple guys wounded, lightly wounded out of the whole force. So we're doing pretty good there. And then the kind of storyline is that now this raid and other raids happening at the same time across early in the morning have triggered kind of an uprising of local militias and insurgent groups. And so now we need to get out of here and move to a rendezvous point with our strikers, which have been diverted due to the uprising going on and other activity. And so now we need to get from here on foot, where originally the strikers are going to come to us. We need to go to them. And we need to get to the rendezvous point all the way over here. We have 40 minutes. Our objectives are to keep casualties below 10% and also use less than 50% of our ammunition. So no objective here to like engage in heavy combat and eliminate the enemy. We just need to get from here to there as fast as we can and safely, and try not to get bogged down in a big firefight. So looking at the tactical map, we're here, we're trying to get over there, and we can see there's enemies coming out of the city over here and also behind us where we started out there. And then I would imagine potentially enemies coming from that direction too, possibly. But we're going to go with the intel we have in trying to figure out the plan for how to get there. I've looked at my options here, and I'm thinking proceeding into the city over here would probably be a terrible idea. We'd have a lot of cover. Enemy wouldn't be able to see us from very far away, but if we did happen to run into 2 or 3 enemy squads somewhere in there, we would get in a big firefight, probably take casualties, and it would be pretty iffy, especially because we're trying to move fast and we don't know where they are. So that's a no-go on that side. And then we could go like way around over here, and get away from those, but that's going to take a lot of time, and probably there's a decent chance we would still run into some kind of enemies out there. So kind of splitting the difference on that, I'm thinking we're going to move up and try to move in a somewhat direct manner, but kind of leapfrogging from one safe point to another. So my plan, since I can rearrange my guys, I'm going to rearrange them a little closer within this blue zone. But we're going to take our platoon and move first to this little row of buildings here, and there's a little trench in front of it. Pretty nice defensive point. We'll move up to there, see what the situation looks like, and then if we need to stop there to engage, we can do that, or keep pressing. And it'll cut off enemy visibility coming from behind us once we get to the other side. And then I'm thinking the next point, we'll kind of leapfrog, set up there. Some part of the platoon will move to here, to this kind of ridge line, while the other half covers. And then when they get there, of course, cover each other. And then across, and then so on, kind of leapfrogging from cover point to cover point, and then making our way to this big building right here. So this is kind of our first objective. Because it's 3 stories tall, it'll give us good visibility in every direction. It has the walls around it so the enemy can't see us staging on the ground for the next move. And it has gaps in the wall in every direction, so it kind of gives us freedom of movement out of there. And then from there, kind of depending on what it looks like, because we can see there's potentially an enemy truck over there, so they could be rolling in reinforcements even at the point where we're trying to get to. We might have to stop here and engage a little bit and suppress whatever's out there before moving on. But we could either move, because there's gaps in the fence here, we could either move directly here, in this kind of narrow slice between the walls, since the wall will give us a lot of cover. And it's kind of open right here, but hopefully they can't really see into there from anywhere else. And we can have a base of fire from this building covering all these buildings and whatnot. Or if that looks like a bad option, if there's a lot of enemies over here, we could instead go a little more indirect and move through these gaps through this field, which has a bunch of ridges in it, so would be good cover. And I have one squad that still has a couple blasting charges, so it could come down here, knock a hole in the wall in this corner. This building seems like it probably wouldn't be occupied, I don't know, but we could knock a hole in that wall and then come down here to this gate and come through here, and then use this building as kind of a secondary hard point, and we could set up there to fire back into the city. If the enemy was still coming at us, this would be a perfect point to engage from, and then just kind of leapfrog across. There's some gaps here that would give some visibility, but we should be far enough away that it won't be too dangerous. And then we'll make our way to the rendezvous. So that route would take a little more time, but probably be a little safer versus going this way, which would be a little more dangerous depending on how fast the enemy's moving. In the last scenario, those guys, once they started moving, they were moving fast. So I'm kind of thinking this is going to be a pretty dynamic scenario of trying to get there, but also trying not to get bogged down and having the enemies moving on us from multiple directions. So we don't want that. So I think I'll set up my guys here and then give some initial orders and we'll get started. All right, so I'm gonna arrange my guys like this. I got my 2 machine gun teams. So one is gonna face ahead, one is gonna face to the rear, and then my HQ team, they're gonna be looking kind of towards the city just to observe, see what's over there. I wish this building right here, there's no windows on this side of it, so I can't set up, I wish I could set up a team facing the city, but I can't really right here. So just kind of setting up like that, and then got 2 infantry squads up here. One is gonna just immediately go for this first objective, the other one's gonna hang back, and then go if they start getting across there without any trouble. And then this squad, I figure just to split up a little bit, we'll put them over here where they have this nice low wall and some cover from the left. And then they'll just move up along this low wall down to this corner. And then they got this trench line here, so pretty safe route for them to move over from there. And then really, you know, the whole force maybe could just go over here and do it that way, but we'll go. We're committed to this plan, so we'll roll with it. All right, so let's hit go and see how it plays out. And then I'm gonna play in real time again, but probably pause to give critical orders here and there. Okay, so we're seeing some potential enemies out there. Our guys are moving fast on their feet. And again, we're not here to actually engage and defeat the enemy, so there's no need to hang around and wait for them to show up. We need to just keep moving forward as much as possible. All right, there's some enemies coming out of the city, which we kind of expected. There's going to be at least some. Wish I could point those guys back that way. Machine gun teams and suppress. Not seeing anyone back there, so I'm going to shift this team. They're shifting on their own already. Shift them to there. We'll have this team actually stop where they are, face that way. I think we're going to need to suppress all of that before we get anywhere. All right, we're inflicting lots of casualties, so that's good. All right, we're gonna hold what we got and engage before we move anybody else. That was a bad grenade launcher right there. Didn't even get close. All right, so I'm just glad those guys got across the field before all those enemies showed up on the walls. But yeah, that was quick. If they weren't moving right away, they would have been caught out in the open. We don't want enemies coming up behind us and overrunning our machine gun teams, so they're gonna start moving forward. Enemy suppressed. Some kind of vehicle over there, like a tactical kind of thing. I'm not gonna worry about that. All right, so our covering teams are gonna move up while the enemy is suppressed. Gonna have these guys run across to that building. And these guys can provide cover from back here. Actually, I might divert them. Oh, no. Pause. Go to that building. Sorry guys, didn't mean to change your order when you're in the open and have you stop. And then from there they can keep firing, keep the enemy heads down. This team's not doing anything, so we'll move them forward into the trench there. Get ready for our next step. And we're supposed to keep 50% ammo, which, yeah, we still got, I mean, we're going to have to engage some no matter what, so that's fine. All right, those guys are going the wrong way, so I'm going to have them just go ahead and hustle across anyway. I thought there was a door on this side of the building, but they went. Sometimes they're just going to take unusual, unexpected routes. Looks like they used one of their AT-4s there. Yeah, we've... Alright, knocked down all the enemies that showed their face here for the most part. There's still a few stragglers, but none of them shooting back at us. Alright, now we have machine gun teams here. Have them set up in that direction. Have this squad start moving ahead to the next goal. If we can get to that first hard point, then we'll have a good idea of everything from there. These guys start moving as well down to this corner. That ended up working out really nice having them right here. Now again, they're... Come on, guys. Why would you get on that side of the wall?
Follow me. Advance.
Have that team start moving. But right now, we definitely have superior firepower at the moment. As soon as they show their faces, they're getting blasted. If we can get some distance, then we'll be in real good shape. We can expect there could be enemies up in front of us too. Alright, these guys, the whole squad's bunched up in one square. Don't like that. And then as soon as these guys get here, have them face back that way with the machine gun. And this squad can extract.
Keep moving. Let's go.
Alright, definitely won that engagement, no problems. Have them set up on that little ridge right there. Guys are here. This squad's gonna work on moving up. Kind of tempted to run down this rail line there between those walls where like the enemy won't be able to see us unless they're straight ahead, and then we'll be in the worst place possible. But I don't want to do that to my guys. Alright, we're gonna keep moving. And these guys on up. Guys here to kind of cover. Kind of hoping there's not enemies in that strong point, because that would be bad. Alright, we don't have visibility on anything behind us at the moment. Go ahead. Moving up. These guys are a little tired, so let them rest there for a minute. Again, team not seeing anything to fire at back there, so have them go ahead on up.
Hold your position.
Want them to move there and kind of peek through that gate before they run on in. We're at 32 minutes, so we're doing great on time. We've used up some ammo, but no casualties. We had to use some ammo, there's kind of no way around it. Let those guys catch their breath for another minute or two. We'll get in there, send those guys up to the third floor so they can see what they see. Get a machine gun team up there too. Then we'll have a good handle on the situation from there. These guys can just kind of stay here in case some enemies come running through one of those gates. Right now these guys are ready. Get them out of there and catching up. Alright, so there is a Toyota tactical over here with a machine gun in the back, but I think our guys should be able to win that fight just through throwing a lot of bullets at them really fast.
Enemy vehicle ahead.
Another one there. We also got some AT-4s.
Move it. Watch out.
Not sure if that might be a little long range for them, but I think our guys can just win just from shooting at them. We might have taken our first casualty there. Yeah, we got one guy down. Alright, so one casualty, but he's wounded. So we'll definitely role play this of giving them time to treat him and recover our wounded. Bring up the other two squads to get in our strong point here. And then I think right now, since we don't see any other enemies over here, we're going to go with the direct route of just moving across there with the goal of avoiding more enemy reinforcements showing up. Alright, so at least one tactical knocked out, other one pulled back. Yeah, we still don't see anything else coming up behind us, so that's good.
Follow me, man. Cover me. Okay,
One wounded man, they're still tending to him, so we'll let that carry on. We're doing great on time, so 10 minutes we've covered 2/3 of the distance, probably more than half anyway. We'll let our guys catch their breath for a minute while they're in a relatively safe location, and then we'll keep moving. The sun's coming up, so it's getting lighter. It's 5:10 in the morning now. Oh, what do we got shooting back this way? Okay, so we got some enemy reinforcements coming from that direction. They're kind of as I thought we could have. More trouble coming, so our best bet is probably to keep moving. There's probably enemies coming from multiple directions, so. Gonna have the guys on the first floor start moving this way. Keep. We still got plenty of firepower here to shoot up. Oh yeah. Oh wow, lots of enemies coming. So, and from way back there. This is definitely a mission that I think would punish a overly cautious approach. Because you've got a swarm of enemies showing up, and there's probably at least that many coming through the city as well. Sorry, I'm like spinning the camera around here. I'm trying to like make sure I got a handle. Yeah, if we were still back there, we would be running into a whole big mess of them. Or they'd be closing in on us. So, yeah, actually we are gonna just start moving out of here.
Enemy infantry sighted.
We'll let one machine gun team hang out there and to give us cover.
Come on, go, go.
But really, there's no reason to hang around because we don't get any points for eliminating those guys. So we just need to get out of here. Alright, everyone's on the move. Leapfrog. Covering. There's a bunch of gaps in the wall here we got to kind of worry about. And then I know this one is knocked out. There's still the other one there potentially, but hopefully it's rattled. If we do see it at closer range, we should be able to knock it out real fast. Oh, and those guys are, yeah, running
Enemy infantry ahead.
out in the open.
Cover me.
Might as well just stay on that side of the wall. Have one machine gun team just set up there since everyone's going out there anyway.
Cover me.
Alright, we'll go with this approach of just kind of crisscrossing. covering both directions. Keep moving forward. Okay, there is still that one technical. It does still have a guy in the back.
Keep moving. Let's go.
But we should be able to knock it out. Yeah, it's running away, not firing back, so that's fine. Got these guys, let's go. We're almost to that rendezvous point, so that's good. We do know there are lots of enemy light infantry back there that are probably just hustling straight towards us, so we need to keep moving to stay ahead of them. And one question mark will be the road back in that direction, because I haven't had any visibility on it, so. But really, we don't need to go. We could just come right here into that trench. That would probably be a good spot to set up and wait for our rides to arrive. We'll do that. One dude down there, he's running away. Can't tell if he's even got a weapon.
Secure the flanks.
Follow me. Advance. Run. Follow me, man. Listen up.
Okay, let's move everyone into that trench line, and then anybody hanging around down here is going to get it. Spotting potential vehicle noises over there, so could be reinforcements coming by vehicle. Right now that thing's knocked out. Okay, so the major threats to our force are knocked out. Could be some more coming down the road, but our guys are now stretched out on this trench line on the side of the road. Pretty cozy if anyone does come rolling up to us, or anybody coming across those fields at all. Gonna get eaten up. Alright, we got one more squad to get in here. Then we'll have the entire force in the rendezvous point. I'm not sure if the mission will end automatically or if I need to end it here. Still have 23 minutes left, but no point in just sitting here and waiting, since if the enemy does show up, we'll just spend ammo, which is going against our objective. Those guys are spread out all over the place. Alright, good job, guys. We're all here and in a nice safe spot waiting for our striker convoy to roll down the road and pick us up. And I'm wondering how many enemy infantry are out there, because we could see that many coming from those two spots. We could guess probably there's that many more in the city over there. There's some vehicles rolled up. We were still back there. How big of a firefight would we be bogged down in? Okay, we are in our objective zone. Let's look over our briefing. Our mission was to advance, secure the new rendezvous point. We're there. Occupy it. It's worth 100 points. So that's what we're doing. And then we don't know how long the strikers will be delayed. Be sure to maintain our combat power for future engagements. Friendly casualties below 10%. Ammo below 50%. don't become decisively engaged. So I think we accomplished all of that. We had just kind of one big firefight, and then we dealt with these technicals. And now we are at the rendezvous point. So I don't think there's any reason for us to just linger here.
Yes, sir.
There's nobody else. Might send one squad down to the end here, just make sure there was one guy there. I think he ran away or he got hit. Make sure he's not hanging around, trying to count against our objective points. Oh, there he is. Okay, so he did not get away. All right, so I think we'll cease fire here since we have completed all of our objectives and there's nothing else to accomplish. Nice. Okay, so total victory. All right, so that mission I feel like went pretty well. Could have been difficult if we didn't move fast. Like moving fast was kind of the key there, as the objectives would suggest. So we got the objective. We kept our casualties and ammo within parameters, just one man wounded. I used up some ammo, but we had to. And then I'm gonna click, let's see. Yeah, we took out 16 killed, wounded, and there's still 60 out there. Let's look at the map. Spoiler warning if you don't want to see it. We can see, okay, so there is a decent sized enemy force out there that is now on top of where we started, which I think could have defeated those guys, but that wasn't our goal. Still a couple survivors of that initial big firefight that were still hiding there as we went off. Some there. So yeah, going into the city would have been a terrible idea because it looks like besides all of those guys we fought, there was at least some more just hanging out right there waiting for us to go in that direction. And then another large force that rolled up from this side and looks like they're still in motion. So if we had hung around here too long, a whole platoon of insurgents would have rolled up on where one of our squads was. And then multiple technicals kind of all over the place. Oh well, that's some kind of just a taxi that they brought to the battle. But yeah, basically moving fast did make this mission easy for us. Lingering, we would have had a couple more big firefights, had to fight all these guys, having those guys come up behind us. So it worked out nice. Followed the objective, did what we needed to do. Only took one casualty, pretty good. All right, so let's go on and see what the next scenario looks like. Okay, so next mission is the cavalry. It's only a 20-minute scenario, so I think I'm gonna roll it into this video, just do 2 scenarios in one video. So now we are in control of the strikers from 3rd Platoon, and also the Meza Air Base Quick Reaction Force, which is showing up to help them. So part of the new Syrian army, it's got basically lightly armed recon troops and some American advisors with them. And then 3rd Platoon strikers, which of course are empty because we need to go pick up our boys. And then looking at the map here, we need to get from here, where we've got them all staged, across the map to one of these exit zones to get through to where 3rd Platoon is, go pick them up. Now we only have 20 minutes, and as the briefing states, enemy activities much more than anticipated. They do have heavier weapons than expected, so they've got RPGs, IEDs, and even ATGMs out there, and a substantial number of fighters. And so we are looking at a firefight to get through here no matter what. No way of getting around it. Our objective is just to get our force through and exit out the other side of the map. But that's going to be easier said than done. And then as it suggests, it doesn't give a specific plan, but basically we need to break through the other side of the map. We can either go right down the main road, but most likely we're going to get ambushed. Well, certainly we're going to get ambushed there and attacked. And there's probably IEDs, ATGMs potentially set up there. So that's going to be difficult. Or we can try to flank around and go for one of the other exits further out. But that's going to take more time. And of course, no guarantee of safety going that way either. Now, I'm a little tempted to just try to blast my way down the main road here. But it's tricky because we don't, even though the road is wider here, we still don't have a lot of room to maneuver. Got buildings on both sides. There's no going around on the left. And then on the right, really the biggest concern, there's this huge apartment complex or hospital or whatever this is. That's supposed to be right here where certainly there's going to be RPGs and stuff set up there. You know, if we could get to here and then maybe detour out this way, get a little distance from all those other buildings, you know, we could probably set up and kind of work our way around there. But I feel like there's definitely going to be like an IED in here somewhere. See, there's a Humvee there that got blown up already. So it's almost certainly, like right there, there's probably like an IED. We're going to get ambushed as we roll in there. Now going over, looking at other options. This next road's not really any better. It's probably worse because it still runs by this huge building here, or like apartment complex. But also there's even less room to maneuver down this little tiny narrow road. And then at the end, we're still stuck right up against all these buildings all the way to the gate. So I feel like that road is probably even worse. And then that kind of leaves these other roads down here. This one, you still got more, you got buildings all the way down. You got a little bit wider. It's going to be difficult. This one, buildings at the end, but not too much. And then if we go all the way to the edge over here, then we have some open ground to maneuver on out here, potentially cover from whatever's back in there. But also it's going to take the most time to get all the way over there. But if we're already swinging right, we should probably just swing a fair amount right. But I feel like, I don't know, if I was a scenario designer, I'd throw some kind of trap on that last one, thinking like, oh, that's the easy, like, seems like the safest route to just go way around. I feel like, I don't know, it's going to be trapped or something. So I'm kind of feeling this one right here, this lane, because it's pretty wide. This first part, there's like low walls here. There's not too many buildings that are right up against the road. It's mostly walls and a few buildings. And it's kind of, you know, the middle distance, not having to go all the way over here. And potentially, I don't know, there could be stuff set up in the open over there that we can't see from here. But also the question of if there's any enemies in these buildings over here on our map. We're not seeing any on the intel, but who knows. But I'm feeling like we're going to roll. I think we're going to roll kind of across these open fields. We're not going to go down this road at all. Now we're just going to kind of set up. We don't need to come back this way, I don't think. We're going to kind of set up and just move parallel to here. Kind of make this little hold down position. Poke our nose over, see what we can see. And then make for this road right here. And just try to roll down it. Because like we got a little cover here from this kind of ridge of dirt on the left, covering us from most of the city a little bit. And not too many buildings over here on the right, or at least they're kind of far away. I think that's my plan, is we're gonna cut through here, kind of set up here, see what we can see, and then roll up here, bring as much firepower to bear at all times as we just make our way down this alleyway to the exit. Now my force is, as mentioned, camera's going a little crazy. I turned off the shadows just because I feel like this time of day the shadows are a little too much and they make the game lag, so I'll turn those off. I got my strikers, which are powerful, but they don't have any infantry on board, so it's just the vehicles themselves. But they do have 50 cal machine guns. This one's got grenade launchers, so they got plenty of firepower coming out of them. And then the quick reaction force is 5 BMPs with light infantry on board, so probably going to try not to get the infantry out if we can help it, because it's just little half squads of dudes with rifles, so very lightly armed. We do have like a JTAC team and some American scout teams mixed in, but really those guys, if they're having to get out and fight, then something's going bad. The BMPs themselves, of course, have plenty of firepower, but are also vulnerable to taking RPG hits. We want to kind of try to keep them away from the buildings where an RPG team could pop out at any moment. So I'm going to rearrange here and give kind of initial orders, and we'll start. Okay, so full disclosure, this mission is definitely proven a little harder. The last 2 missions I did on the first go, just recorded it live and it went fine. This mission, I'm having to save scum a little bit because I'm just having some terrible rolls at it. I've had 2, I think I've done this, attempted it about 4 times, and 2 times I lost the gunner on one of my strikers just to like a burst of small arms fire, which doesn't seem possible. I mean, I know the striker is not a tank necessarily, but It did not seem very fair that in 2 cases I lost, and in both times it was the one with the grenade launcher lost its gunner to just a random burst of just small arms fire. And then another one just went disastrously. And then oddly enough, kind of like the first attempt probably went the best. If I just kept rolling with it, I probably would have lost a couple APCs, but maybe made it to the end with only losing like 1 or 2 more because it went the best at first. But anyway, that said, just want to admit I'm not. If it goes well this time, just know there was some failed attempts before this. But my plan is here. We're gonna roll from the starting point across this ditch, and then kind of fan out here. Get eyes on the city. Take a couple minutes just to try to draw some enemy fire from the city, and see if we can target a few. If we can take out some of them, because we have tons of firepower. We have oodles of firepower. The trick is that the enemy is little RPG teams and half squads of infantry just spread out all through this city, and we only have 20 minutes, so we don't really have time, and we don't have infantry support. We have, you know, these scout teams, but certainly not enough time for them to sneak forward cautiously or anything. If we had all of 3rd platoon here and we had an hour, sure, we could clear this city with minimal loss, but because of our situation, and limited infantry support, no artillery support or anything like that, I'm going to try to just roll out here, kind of pick off some targets of opportunity, and then roll up to here, kind of set up on this road, and then come down to here, and then instead of going straight ahead to that exit, which I found was not a great idea, doesn't go very well, we're going to come down to here and then turn right and go out here and try to just move fast and get at a distance, and then kind of just work our way as far as possible from the city as we can get, so that if anyone does fire at us, we can answer with all our vehicles together, because they'll be all clear line of sight, and then just kind of work our way towards that exit, but also moving quickly to avoid enemy reinforcements showing up. The faster we move, the less we have to face, but also the more dangerous it is. So it's just kind of the nature of the beast. And actually, I think I'll move this one over to here. All right, let's try it out. And then I got 2 vehicles kind of stationary here, doing some overwatch while the rest move up. Oh, I thought I had a pause order for them to not take off, but I'll have a little traffic jam here at first and then get spread out. I'll shoot at this tower just because it's the highest location on the map, so there's probably somebody up there. Like we saw in that first scenario, even if they don't have, they might have the kind of like civilian disguised observers in addition to combat forces. That there is like an observer up there, just want to blast him. Oh, okay, so I guess that's why the gunner on that, because he has to get up there to reload. That's what's happening. Okay. Which seems like a flaw, that they can only fire like 3 bursts. So now I've lost the gunner on that already. Okay, so that's good to know. I didn't realize that was the case. Alright, so we got some enemies engaging. Looks like an RPG flew out, but didn't hit our vehicle. But yeah, we want them to shoot here while we're at a distance so that we can answer. And then now I didn't realize that's why I kept taking a casualty. He has to pop out of the hatch to reload the grenade launcher, which it only fired like 3 bursts. Maybe it jammed or something. I know in real life those grenade launchers are a little prone to jamming. Maybe we'll say that's what's happened. And then someone, either whoever he was shooting at or maybe that one, picked him off while he was out there. We might see if we can switch one of these other infantry teams over. We get another gunner on that grenade launcher. Okay, while we're doing that, I'm gonna have these scout teams kind of pop out, not to necessarily do some scouting or engaging themselves, but maybe just to draw a little fire from the insurgents so that we can pop them with our vehicles while we're waiting for everyone else to get in position. Okay, yep, so they are taking some fire. And then while that's going on, I'm gonna have this US scout team pop out and go get in that striker. So hopefully one of them will take over the gunner position because that grenade launcher is really powerful. All right, then we'll reload and we'll spread these guys out between the different APCs. They can hop in those strikers for now. Okay, yeah, and one of them was being the gunner, so that's nice. Okay, so we're at this point. Had one casualty, which is, we're not going to get through this unscathed. Alright, now I'm gonna pop some smoke. Which the BMPs, they throw their smoke way out there. The strikers throw their smoke kind of right in front of them. Different types of smoke, but I will throw that out there. And then we're gonna move up to here. And then kind of form up, then move up here, and then head out to open ground. So we're at 15 minutes, so we don't want to waste any time. I would kind of get them a nice symmetrical staggered between the different vehicle types, but to avoid any further delays, we're just going to roll with what we got. RPGs flying in. Okay, yep, there's a team right there. We want to take that one out for sure because they are right on our route. There's another one right there. That was a near miss, near miss. Okay, we got that team. This one's getting blasted. All right, we got that team. Okay, good. That's a couple more RPG teams down. Now we're ready. We're gonna move up the road here. And then we're gonna throw down some more smoke and then get moving. We got those two RPG teams down, so that makes me feel a little better. There's probably some more like back here. I don't know if we knocked out all of that. Gonna throw down all the smoke because this is kind of our most vulnerable moment right here. And especially because they're gonna turn and head out into open country here, but they're gonna have to turn their flank to the enemy. taking some more fire. Throwing down some more smoke. Initial team is there. There's at least one RPG firing at us from back there. These guys are in a traffic jam, but they do have a giant cloud of smoke that they're hanging out in, so that helps. They can just execute that turn. All right, looks like the armor slat got that one. Then I don't want to roll closer until we spot. Okay, there we go. Got eyes on that RPG team. It should be gone here shortly. Got him. Now we're at 11 minutes, so we got some time. Alright, we're going to use Hunt. Kind of just work our way towards the exit there, and then once we get close, we'll just throw down a bunch of smoke on it and pile on and hope for the best. I want to make sure I get on this side of the smoke cloud in case there's any enemies coming up behind us. We don't want to take a hit in the rear. Yeah, that smoke cloud really building up, so takes a couple minutes, but the vehicles can throw out a lot of smoke. Alright, now we're closing on it. Oh, they're out of smoke. They still got some, so we'll point. Throw down a nice big smoke screen here. Might leave us a little short on smoke in a future mission, but if we can get everybody to the objective alive, that's the most important part. And then I'm going to lay some fire into... Oh, we can't see it actually. Lay some fire into that building just because it's right up against the exit there. Nope, another gunner down. So yeah, definitely striker gunners exposed when they're reloading, which I almost wish you could set them to not expose themselves if we're in any kind of close range. Now we have no gunner. But I think it came from that building right there, so we are going to blast it. Hit them with the rocket. Should take care of anybody in there. Alright, so now we've cut down visibility so that we can't even see the exit or be to shoot at anything up there. Oh, dang. Lost a striker right there, right at the end. Alright, so we'll be short one striker going into the next mission. See if we can pick up the crew though. That just seems like terrible luck. Gunner gets hit, and then an RPG comes in through all that smoke. Even though I thought we cleared that building. Driver's still alive. I'm gonna get him out if we can, once he stops panicking. I don't know what that was, way over there. Okay, we're starting to exit the map, so that's good. We're not gonna leave this guy behind. Oh, dang. They're on the exit and got knocked out. That's with... Doesn't seem fair. They were like right there. Like an RPG. Pop smoke again right here. Only 2 guys made it out of there. That was the HQ of the Quick Response Force. They were right on the edge of the line. If they were just an inch further forward, they would have made it out fine. Come on. Just wait on this guy, Hoover. Don't want to leave him behind if I can help it. Seem wrong. And this guy too, if he can recover, he just needs to crawl over to the exit. Four minutes. Then the question, of course, is, will I lose this striker too now that all that smoke's cleared? And then, yeah, if he can't recover, I might just have to roll without him, but want to give him another couple minutes, see if he can pull himself together, get in the striker. Right, this guy's recovered. Yeah, he's like in the square. He's just not wanting to escape. No? Okay. Alright, we're gonna have to roll. Sorry, buddy. We're gonna have to run for it. Lucky that that didn't knock this striker out. Alright, that seems like, okay. Exit zone needs to be just a little bit bigger because this vehicle's like on it. Oh, jeez. That close. We lost 2 of our strikers. Well, I'm not going to save scum again. I'm just going to roll with it and say we ran into some fierce resistance. We lost 3 APCs out of the convoy, including 2 of the strikers. That's tough, but that's how it went. One guy survived. I don't think he's going to make it out of there. Alright, I'm going to call it there. So draw. So we lost 7 men killed, 5 wounded, 3 vehicles lost. Only took out 12 killed, 6 wounded of them. They did inflict, took out 2 of the strikers, so not good. Only lost 1 of the BMPs. And then we did get at least enough of our forces through that we achieved our objective, kind of, but not really great. All right, let's review the map. So this is definitely a spoilers one, so don't look if you don't want it spoiled. So, interesting. So I actually took out all the enemies that were close to the exit. I thought I was getting hit from like that building, but really it was like an ATG, I don't know, it's like he's just an RPG team there. Got knocked out, and then the team that was hitting us was coming from way over here somewhere. Because I thought it was coming from like right there, but it was coming from much further away, it seems like. Trying to see which one of these has a combat victories against us. None of them are taking credit. Where did those shots come from? They're right there. Strange. Not showing that any of them had the kill, but I guess there were several RPG teams back through there. Or was it this team? Oh, it's this team way, way, way back here. So let's see. Oh, so that's what happened was they took out 1 BMP and 2 strikers. So this team right here, all my losses were from this ATGM team that was set up right here, firing at the exit. So, oh, I was right. So in a way, yes, this exit seems like the easiest, but yeah, there is a little trick to it that this ATGM team, which I'm guessing these guys weren't here at the start. They must have rolled up because otherwise we would have seen them. They're all on the roof over here. I'm going to guess that they showed up after the scenario started, and then they went right here and set up pointing right at the exit. So yeah, whoever designed the scenario, they definitely they said, oh, I'll give you this exit over here that looks very tempting, but also there's going to be a team with a AT4C ATGM setup pointed right at your exit that's going to hit you in the rear unless you just book it. Probably, yeah, balancing between, do you just roll as fast as you can? Do you roll slow so you can take out all these individual RPG teams? But if you take more than like 10 minutes, then this team sets up behind you with perfectly clear line of sight and just tags these guys all in the flank or in the rear, because that's, yeah, no choice but for that to happen at the end. Interesting. So this team right here did me in all by themselves, and none of these other guys had any kills at all. Now let's look if we had rolled this way. We did take out a few teams out here on the edge, through out here, and then over there I know we eliminated some, but there were still, if we'd gone this way, we would have had to roll through a lot of infantry scattered through here. It looks like most of them don't have RPGs, but we probably would have seen some RPGs in there somewhere, I'm sure. And then there is mines right there. So yeah, we would have rolled into some mines right there for sure. There's no easy answer on this scenario. Any direction you go is going to be rough, but I was right in my suspicion that the exit that looks the easiest is kind of a trap, because those guys set up behind you and nail you from behind. Was there Anybody in here? I'm just curious. I thought there was like a, oh, there he is. There was a sniper up here in that tower. All right, so yeah, that was devilish, but there you go. All right, so let's end it. That's fine. We'll take a draw after 2 solid wins on the previous scenarios. And it'll make the next scenario be interesting because, yeah, we're down to 2 of our 4 strikers, so 3rd platoon is going to have to hop in those BMPs. All right, so a little preview here of the next scenario. So it's called Stand By to be Overrun, which, yeah, is exactly what it sounds like. So basically it's saying that 3rd platoon from the previous 2 missions, or the earlier 2 missions, has now occupied this factory. So they're kind of holding out. The insurgents are massing a large force to assault it because they see that they've got this unit kind of isolated and not necessarily exposed, but isolated. And they're going to try to overrun 3rd platoon's position. And then our vehicles are en route, but they're still at least 15 minutes away, 15 to 25 minutes away. And I know that we know that only 2 strikers are coming and 4 BMPs and 2 strikers, so the force is not going to be quite that large. We do have an Apache to support us, so that's nice. But basically, we need to hold this position. And then the briefing here talks about how strong 3rd platoon is going to be, is how well they did earlier, which fortunately those missions went well, and I didn't use up too much ammunition since we only had kind of 1 big firefight really, and the rest went really smooth. Our vehicle reinforcements will be a little lighter than we would hope for since we lost some of them, but we'll still get most of them here. And then the enemy's going to be bringing potentially higher end assets, so heavy weapons and vehicle-based IEDs. So we need to be ready to knock those out before they get too close. So let's have a little peek at the map. I'll end the video here though, but just wanted to see what it looks like. So this is still, so this is still from the previous mission, where earlier we got to here. We kind of occupied the side of the road here, waiting for the rides to appear, but then they are still delayed because, yeah, they got into their own battle. And now we are holed up in this factory complex, where fortunately we have all of 3rd platoon, with only like 1 casualty across the whole platoon, and still plenty of ammunition. So we should be in good shape. And then once the vehicles arrive, that'll give us all the firepower we need to defeat the enemy assault. Vehicles are going to arrive, looking at the map. Okay, so they're going to arrive from this direction. Okay, so they're going to be coming from that way and not, if they're coming from that way, that would be great. That's what I was, in my mind, I was thinking they're coming from that direction. They could just roll out in the open, but if the vehicles are arriving from this direction, that makes it a little trickier. Yeah, they're coming from this direction, so if the enemy is all in this town here, the vehicles will have a little fight just getting into position, so I might send them like hard right out here and go way around, because all I want them to do is get out here in the open, far away, where they can just shoot from a distance. It's fine by me. Now we need to hold this factory. We got potential for the enemy to come at us from a lot of angles, so we'll have to we'll definitely be splitting up these squads, not leaving them all bunched up. Split up those squads, cover all the approaches, and then we'll see how it goes. But I think right now they're kind of spread out a little more than I would like them to be. I think instead of having those guys in that building, we might pull them into this complex here and just hold everybody in this building and maybe that building. There's no need for them to be way over there. Well, I guess we'd want to keep the enemy out of that building too. Well, we'll think about it. Okay, but for the next video. So be sure hit like, hit subscribe if you're enjoying this series. And let's see if we can get 3rd platoon out of their predicament in the next video. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.